Each January 27th, nations around the world observe International Holocaust Remembrance Day. It's a time to commemorate the liberation of the Nazi concentration and extermination camp in Auschwitz, Germany. It's also a day to recommit societies to Holocaust education and combating anti-Semitism. Joining us with more is Jonathan Tobin, editor-in-chief of the Jewish News Syndicate. Jonathan, 81 years have now passed since the Soviets liberated Jews from Auschwitz, and it seems many people still deny that the Holocaust took place, or at least say it was exaggerated. I know several years ago an Economist YouGov survey found that 1 out of 5 young Americans between the ages of 18 and 29 believe the Holocaust is a myth. Why, Jonathan? There's so much evidence that proves otherwise.
Well, I don't know that I can answer that question rationally as to why people want to believe it. I think people who are consumers of conspiracy theories, this is a natural for them. And I think the reason why that number has probably increased is because people who ought to know better have been platforming and promoting people who peddle these toxic ideas. I referred to Tucker Carlson, who more than a year ago, had on a faux historian who promotes Holocaust denial, and then just a few months ago, another neo-Nazi who also promotes Holocaust denial. When people see that on what many people want to believe is a credible platform, they're willing to believe it. That's terrible. It's irresponsible, but it doesn't come out of nowhere. It is a product of anti-Semitism, and the irony of this International Holocaust Remembrance Day is that while there will be lots of pious words and noble sentiments uttered at ceremonies around the world, at the United Nations and around the United States, a lot of the people who will be uttering those anodyne sentiments will be people who will also be misappropriating the Holocaust to pursue political agendas, making false analogies. The most recent prominent one was Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota comparing illegal immigrants to Holocaust diarist Anne Frank, something that has nothing to do with the situation and the debate in this country about illegal immigration. But the Holocaust has, in part because, there's been a smattering of Holocaust education in this country, often without context, often people trying to universalize it to be just, a lesson about not being unkind to other people, which people shouldn't be unkind to each other. But the Holocaust wasn't about garden variety unkindness. And it's led to the Holocaust being just something of a political metaphor for anything that people don't like. Anybody I don't like is Hitler kind of discourse has become routine. We know that people use that about President Trump. But the Holocaust is just a metaphor for a lot of people. And it's been used by some people, as I've said, on the far right to promote Holocaust denial. It's also being used and misappropriated, especially the word genocide, even more prominently by people on the left as they seek to legitimize and support a genocidal war against the descendants of the survivors of the Holocaust in Israel.
Well, you talk about the politicians who really kind of perpetuate this skepticism. And how about those like New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani, who says anti-Israel sentiment is not anti-Semitism?
Well, number one, he's wrong. And just to boil down on that one point immediately, if you say that you are anti-Zionist, what you're saying is that you want to deny to Jews rights that you would not deny to any other people. You want to treat the state of Israel in a way that you would not treat any other country. What we call singling out one people for a denial of rights is discrimination, and discrimination against Jews is anti-Semitism. So Mamdani is not only wrong, he's entirely disingenuous. He's not, he's not sincere, because he is someone who is promoting a war against Israel. He's spent his whole political life, it's revolved around his efforts to support the campaign to destroy the one Jewish state in the planet, something that could only be accomplished by a genocide. And let's, give our audience one clear historical fact. The Jewish people have never recovered demographically from the Holocaust. In 1939, there were approximately 18 million Jews alive in the world. Today, there are approximately 15 million. More than 86, 87 years later, and still 3 million fewer than there were alive in 1939. And half of them live in Israel. So if you are against the existence of one Jewish state on the planet, this one Jewish state of Israel, you're basically supporting a campaign of genocide. And let's also remember, genocide was a word coined after the Holocaust to describe what happened in the Holocaust. And to misappropriate it, to redefine it, to claim that Israel's just war of self-defense against Hamas in Gaza is a genocide. Well, if that is a genocide, and it isn't, then every war that was ever fought, including the war that was fought to defeat the Nazis, was a genocide. So we know what people are doing when they use it that way. They are looking to stoke anti-Semitism, stoke this war on the Jews. So if you're doing that, if you're misappropriating the Holocaust, if you're comparing it, comparing Trump to Hitler and comparing illegal immigrants to Anne Frank, honestly, I don't want to hear what you have to say about the Holocaust, because what you're saying is of no value.
Okay, Jonathan Tobin, JNS Editor-in-Chief, thank you for joining us on International Holocaust Remembrance Day.
Thank you.